John Knight, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the July 31, 2017 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Bob Archer. I currently have the honor of serving as chair and representing District 3 alongside Commissioner Shelley Bueller, who represents District 1, and Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents District 2. Welcome and good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
First item of business, please.
Item 1, proclamations, presentations. Number 1, update on National Night Out. Christy Pancratz, Safe Streets.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioners. Christy Pancratz, Director of Safe Streets. I just passed out some T-shirts as well as some information about all of the events going on this week. National Night Out is Saturday, August 5th, and we have a lot of activities leading up to that, including today at our office, we're having a pickup day for all the neighborhoods. We have a ton of stuff donated, a lot of items for them. We have a total of 85 neighborhoods that are registered to participate in this, and it's going gangbusters right now. So we are so happy to see this great turnout, all of the community support. We have the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office that's a great partner. Shawnee County Parks and Rec has 14 neighborhoods that are having events in the parks, so they have taken good care of us with getting those ready to go. And we're just so appreciative to everyone for their support and involvement in it. We also have a kickoff party. So if you're free, Friday night, 5:30 at WIBW radio station, encourage you to come out, enjoy the community-wide neighborhood as a whole. We have activities going on throughout all the neighborhoods on Saturday, starting about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, going through the evening hours throughout the county. So just encourage you where you can go and just see kind of the camaraderie that's going on with this event. Are there any questions?
No, thank you.
It's quite a list, and this gets updated. I know it says not final.
We are still getting changes here and there with event times, and we may get 1 or 2 more add-on. So we will try to send out a final listing by Friday. But there might be a few little changes here and there, but we'll make sure you get updated.
Good. Okay.
Now, if someone wanted more information about where to go and what the events and the timing was, where would they go to find out?
They can visit our website, safestreets.org. We have a listing that's current as of right now, published on our site, so they can kind of figure out where their neighborhood one is and go to the closest one, or they can register their neighborhood, which is what we're shooting for.
Safestreets.org.
Safestreets.org.
Very good.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks.
Next item, please.
Item 2, under proclamations, presentations. Presentation regarding Parks and Recreation camps and summer activities by Clay Neal, camps before after school supervisor, and Susan Fowler Hensler, recreation superintendent.
Good morning, Clay Neal, camps before and after school supervisor. I got a little small presentation to start with. All right, thanks for having me today. I wanted to bring up some points, fun points about our summer camp this 2007. We're rapidly coming to an end. This is 4 camps last week, and I got one more still with another week to go to help parents before school starts. As of right now, a total of 381 campers have gone through our camps. That's averaged about 440 per week. Some of the things we really take pride in with our camps is, first of all, safety, making sure that kids are having a fun, safe summer. All of our camp counselors go through an orientation, a training that is, we go along the guidelines with Kansas Department of Health and Environment. Our camp ratio is 15 to 1, 15 campers to 1 counselor, except for our Civitan camp, which they are 4 to 1. Each site, we get inspected by the local fire marshals and Shawnee County Health Agency to make sure that we are up to KDHE standards. Other things we promote through camp is our healthy lifestyles. We want to make sure the kids are outside, being active, participating in games, fun games, whether it's capture the flag, new variations of tag games, kickball, wiffle ball, ultimate frisbee. We also, as you saw on the film, we do canoeing, archery. A lot of our camps really enjoy hiking the trails too. A lot of them explore the creeks we have, all the trails, and have a good time doing that. Roller skating, we've really worked it out with Skate Away, have a good time roller skating. Kids like doing that. And swimming, using our pools that we have throughout the county. Each one of them been venturing out, doing a little bit more field trips with going to the pools and enjoying that. We also take pride in that we unplug the kids from technology. They're not at home sitting playing on video games or the computer or whatever. We want them getting out and exploring the nature of what we have, the trails, the canoeing, archery, paddle boating, everything that we have to offer, being outdoors and on the playground. Another part is we do partner up with the Shawnee County Public Library to do stop, drop, and read program. So it's getting them to also read throughout the summer, helping them out, get prepared for school when it comes up. Helping them with their social skills, self-esteem. That's another big thing we really like the kids to work on. We want to help the kids, especially the ones that have a hard time making friends. Our counselors go and are compassionate and, hey, come on, let's help, let's do this. What do you like to do? And they end up finding friends that they have similar interests with and everything, and they look forward to coming back and seeing their friends. And throughout the summer, they may meet another kid that goes to different schools, so we call it our camp friends. They come back and, hey, I got my camp friend and remember you from last year, so they have a good time. And going with that is the great memories that we provide for the campers. They can come back and enjoy everything, remember everything throughout life, and then hopefully that great memories they have, they come back and be a counselor for us down the road when they get of age. They can bring back that great experience that they had and bring it to the kids and have a new one. I was hoping to have a couple of counselors here today that were camp kids before, but they had to report to their full-time teaching job, so I lost them. So, but no, that was a great thing about camp is a lot of campers do come back and want to be counselors. With the camp, we have the 4 that are in the revolving budget. Back to Nature, Camp Connections Lake, Camp Connections North, and Passport to Venture. Having these 4 camps in the revolving budget helps us have different opportunities that in the past that we've been kind of restricted by budget, but we're able to do things, purchasing new things, going on different field trips, looking at different venues, bringing different, and looking at speakers to come in and talk, and we've even thought about trying to find magicians and stuff like that. But that revolving budget does help us get those things coming in. Scholarship was one of the last points I wanted to talk about. For 2017, we did use 39 scholarships that have been given kids that may not have an opportunity to go camp. They can come to camp now. 36 of the scholarships that were given were 100%, and 3 were only 50%. And right now we're making notes, jotting down new fun things for 2018. Any questions? All right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Susan Fowler-Hensler. I just wanted to add a couple more things on to Clay's report. For one, the revolving budget has just worked out so well for these 4 camps. In the past, when camps were full, we just stopped and kids were on a waiting list. Now we can actually go out there and hire new extra counselors. So camps like up at Shawnee North, we've actually added 30 kids every week since we've had the revolving fund. So that allowed us those 2 extra instructors and 30 extra campers. So it really helps us meet the needs of the community. And as those camps are meeting the needs of community, I just wanted to give a shout out to a couple other organizations that we have worked with that have offered camps also in our community along with us as partners. Boys and Girls Club, as you know, is now offering camps at free and reduced prices at the Ville McKay Paris. They have nearly 100 kids this summer. That's more than double what we're able to pay our fees down there. So we're definitely meeting the needs of that community in Montara. And another great program that we continue to work with is the Capper Foundation. They received a national award 2 years ago for the I Can Bike program. We hold it over at Central Park. And again, this year they had 23 riders, 55 volunteers. 8 riders were from different countries, and 1 rider came from a family who drove from Independence, Missouri every single day to attend that camp. So in exchange for that and using our facility, Cappers then came to our orientation for counselors that Clay talked about and provided ability awareness training, behavior analysis, and some other training that we haven't had that opportunity before to have. So it was a great partnership between them with that. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Next item, please.
Item 3, consent agenda.
There are 5 items on the consent agenda. Any questions or
I
comments?
have no questions. I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we have vouchers that total $2,080,747.91. The highlights out of that are the JADO payment of $628,301.90, payroll $552,007.40, health insurance premium of $144,502.19, holding accounts for State of Kansas motor vehicle $74,002.80, and then Parks and Recreation of $65,780.02. Those make up the majority of the vouchers. I do not have any questions. Any questions I have been answered. I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the vouchers by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item B, Bond Council, number 1, consider approval of resolution number 2017-41, acknowledging the request from Topeka Health System, LLC, requesting the county issue its health system revenue bonds, Topeka Health System, LLC project, Series 2017, in an estimated aggregate principal amount of $90 million in one or more series of issues.
Good morning, Bob Perry. Arden Health and KU Med have created a joint venture, the purpose of which is to basically acquire the St. Francis Medical Center. This application requests that the county issue up to $90 million in industrial revenue bonds, the proceeds from which will be used to acquire the facilities and improve the facilities over the next several years. This is just an acknowledgement that the application's been filed. We're going to have a publication tomorrow, a mailing to occur. We'll have a hearing on this matter on August the 10th.
Questions for Mr. Perry? Yes, Commissioner Cook.
On August the 10th, what should we expect that hearing to be, and what would the public want to know about that meeting on August the 10th?
I anticipate on August the 10th that a representative from Ardent or KU or both will be here. And the purpose of the hearing is to allow them to ask questions concerning the issuance of the bonds, the acquisition of the facilities, the type of improvements intended to be made, as well as the consideration of the request. They've asked that the county not oppose their request to the Board of Tax Appeals to have an ad valorem exemption for up to 10 years on the improvements that are required. There's 24 parcels of ground involved in this acquisition, of which 14 have not been on the tax rolls because Sisters of Charity are 501c3s. And they're going to ask that all 24 be off for a period of 1 year, and then 10 of the parcels, if I remember correctly, they would ask that be back on the tax rolls for 9 years. And all of that will be addressed at the hearing next week. The application is a public record if anybody wants to look at it.
Where would they go to see that application?
I believe Cindy's office has a hard copy.
That's all the questions I have.
Okay. But on the 10th is the hearing, and the bottom line is this is to keep St. Francis open.
That's correct, Bob.
Okay. All right.
I'll move to adopt the resolution.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made to adopt the resolution by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Bob. Next item.
Item C, planning. Number 1, consider approval of resolution number 2017-42, amending a special use permit for the Cole Family Trust on behalf of American Tower Corporation lessee to replace an existing 280-foot guide tower with a 290-foot self-supporting lattice tower on property located at 8320 Southwest 85th Street in Auburn Township.
Good morning, Barry Beagle, Shawnee County Planning Department. The request before you is to amend the existing special use permit approved back in 1981, allowing for the existing 280-foot guide tower on the property. Given the structural change in design of the tower that is proposed from a guide tower, which is a slender profile, to a self-supporting lattice tower, it presents a difference in appearance as would be judged by the neighborhood. Therefore, it was determined to be a major amendment, go back through the public hearing process. Fortunately, as a result of going through the process on July 10th, no one appeared in opposition to the proposal, and the Planning Commission unanimously recommended that it be approved. So that is the proposal which is before you.
Comments or questions for Mr. Beagle?
I don't have any.
I'll make a motion to adopt the request.
I'll second, but to check and make sure there is not anyone who wants to speak on this item.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Is there anyone that wants to comment on this resolution? Seeing none, motion made to adopt the resolution by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item C2, consider approval of resolution number 2017-43, authorizing a conditional use permit to establish a dog kennel boarding facility on the property north of Southwest 61st Street on the west side of Southwest Wanamaker Road in Mission Township.
Barry Beagle, Shawnee County Planning Department. As indicated, this is a request initiated by the Sanders on behalf of the Stevens, who are seeking to acquire their 23-acre tract of land. The conditional use permit would authorize a kennel boarding facility on a 5.49-acre portion of that tract of land to construct up to a 7,500 square foot state-of-the-art climate-controlled boarding facility on the property. It is the applicant's intent to otherwise build their home on the balance of the 23-acre tract. This request did appear for public hearing. No one again appeared in opposition to the proposal, and the Planning Commission recommended unanimously the approval subject to the conditions in the resolution before you.
Questions? There was no opposition to this whatsoever.
No, sir.
Interesting. I'll move to adopt the resolution.
A second.
Motion made to adopt by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item D, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to negotiate a health services contract with Horizon Health for medical and mental health services for the Adult and Juvenile Detention Center.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This has been a long journey for us regarding this request that back in December of 2016, the Board of County Commissioners approved our agency to go out for a request for proposals to be able to, after approximately almost 12 years with the same vendor, we felt it was time to go back out for RFP to look to make sure to see what else is out there. But one of the big additions to our health care was the addition of mental health care services. And we were able to put out an RFP. We received two companies, very well established, very well recognized companies of Horizon Health and Correct Care Solutions. Both are very good reputations in the industry, and I know them well. Both gave us bids. At that time, I did stay in contact with Jim Crow regarding our process and how we're going to go through the process. That our administrative executive team met with both companies on 2 separate days for several hours to discuss the 4 basic areas we wanted to accomplish in being able to decide which was the best company for us and to provide the best services. We looked operationally at the systems, we looked at our technology, we looked at staffing plan, and then we looked at the mental health program that both provided. After much tough deliberation and talking and going through and looking at all the different proposals, we came across that we felt that Horizon Health was the best company for our agency and community. That operationally, we felt Horizon demonstrated they had the best understanding of our operational needs and systems in the department, staffing plan that they met and understood our staffing and the needs and the challenges we have providing correctional health care. Technology, they were very well on the cutting edge and had even offered some partnership in paying for some of the upgrades with Wi-Fi and things like that in the department, and then also the mental health program, which is the one area that I paid very close attention to. We understand in looking at our population that it is time for our agency to contract mental health programs out to be able to provide a program. We understand very well the challenges that we have when it comes to health care, medical, and mental health. Again, this request is just to be able to sit down and start the negotiation process, to be able to establish a price, to be able to provide options that I would come back and I will keep Jim and Betty in the loop and come back to you all individually to be able to talk about the different items. This is, we hope to get this done fairly soon. We know we're in the budget process. We know this is a part of our budget process and request, but we also have to be responsible in understanding the overall needs and the situation that we are in the county, and I want to be able to provide you with several options with this. I do have Major Tim Phelps here who can answer any questions. Tim is the contract monitor for the Department of Correction and is very astute at the contract language and the ins and outs of these both of these proposals. So if there's any specific questions, I'll turn it over to Tim or try to do my best to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Cole?
I do not have any.
I have one question. When we had budget hearing for Department of Corrections, there was a discussion of an additional $700,000 expense.
Yes, sir.
How does that mesh with what we're talking about here today?
Well, it will. We're going to look at the what I proposed in our budget hearing was the ultimate, the full nuance of the whole program all at once, and that would, if we looked at everything that was provided in the RFPs based off of our history and of our experience, we felt that that was responsible to look at the whole total program of costing that. We understand that in going through there, we're going to provide other options that maybe that we can look in and layer in as we move forward, and those, so the total cost may not end up being $700. I felt it was responsible at that time to look at the total cost of a program, to be able to be up front with everybody to understand the complexity and how expensive this is. I don't know if I answered your question, but I'm trying my best to that was probably the ultimate goal, or the high end of what we were looking at. At that time, that was the best plan we had in looking at and visiting other areas throughout the United States and looking at proposals that they said, Brian, with what you're asking for, this is the best price we could give you at that time. This process here will allow us now to go back and fine-tune all of that to get down there. And our plan is to provide a very serious amount of options that we can provide to the county.
Yeah, I think this commission looks forward to that. It's a huge challenge, and it's a huge expense.
Absolutely, and we understand that.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Commissioners? Motion, please.
I'll make a motion to adopt the request to negotiate a health services contract with Horizon Health.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you very
Next
much.
Item E, Information Technology, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contracts C-248-2017 with Cox Business to provide a 5 megabyte connection to the internet at Helen Hawker Building at a cost of $125 for a one-time connection and installation fees and $118.94 monthly occurrence service charges with funding from Parks and Recreation Department.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pat O'Blender with the Information Technology Department. That's 5 megabytes per second is what you were going for, Cindy. This item is actually going to be paid for by Parks and Rec Department, but I'm doing the agenda item so that John Knight doesn't have to answer these same technical questions. What we're looking for is to replace an existing wireless connection that's in place at the Helen Hawker Building. It's currently being provided by Verizon, and it's had a history of drops and sags in service. Nothing against Verizon specifically, but this is a wireless connection that is subject to varying demands on the service tower that provides that service. So there's going to be times when it works well and other times when it does not. Unfortunately, it does not work well during business hours at all times. So what we'd like to do is terminate that service and instead place Cox Business hardline in there that would be more stable and provide more consistent service. So we've looked at Verizon's offering, or we currently have Verizon's offering. We also looked at what AT&T would offer. AT&T did offer a less expensive option, but the maximum speeds that were available were significantly lower than 5 megabits per second. They were 780 kilobytes per second, which is less than a fifth of what Cox could provide. So what we'd like to do is go ahead and set up a month-to-month contract with Cox to provide that 5 megabits per second connection and see if we can't get the service stable at the Helen Hawker Building. If you have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
On the approval of the contract.
Second.
Motion made to approve the contract by Commissioner Bueller and seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no, and that motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E2, consider authorization and execution of contract C-249-2017 with AT&T, release and settlement agreement with AT&T crediting the amount of $99,996.67 to Shawnee County's account.
Commissioners, on this item, this is a credit to an outstanding balance that we've been carrying with our AT&T bill for 5 telecommunications circuits. Last year, about this time, we went out of contract on 5 telecommunications circuits, and there was some significant confusion about what the rates would be charged for those circuits during those times when we were out of contract. As a result, we wound up with a balance of an additional $100,000 that we did not expect as a result of the out-of-contract situation. We had a lot of negotiations back and forth between Shawnee County and AT&T, and we came to the agreement that those charges would be credited back to us, and we are just now getting to the point where AT&T is ready to sign that credit memo. It's taken almost a year to get to this point because due to the size of the charges, there were a lot of levels that AT&T had to go through for approvals. But with IT and the significant help from the counselor's office and audit finance, we were able to negotiate with them and get that credit negotiated. So this memo would get those locked in, and the credits would be applied upon the memo being returned to AT&T. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
I'll move to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item E3, consider authorization and execution of contract C-245-2017 with Software House International for annual maintenance of the Barracuda email spam filter in the amount of $2,114 with funding from the Information Technology 2017 budget.
Commissioners, this item is the annual maintenance renewal for the spam filter. This is the appliance that filters out the majority of the junk email that tries to get into the county and flood everybody's email inboxes. Without this box in place, everybody would be subject to incredible amounts of phishing attacks, Nigerian email scams, you name it, from the top to the bottom. This thing filters out probably 90% of the email that's inbound to Shawnee County and just dumps it into a waste container so that you don't even have to see it. So it's a very valuable resource, and I do recommend that we renew the annual maintenance on that item. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions, Commissioners, on the contract?
I'd move for authorization and execution of the contract.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you very much, Pat.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next item, please.
Item F, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-250-2017 with the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks and Tourism to provide grant funding to combat the chronic planktonic algae problem in the Central Park Pond with the county's funding match of $586.87.
Good morning, Commissioners. And John Knight, Parks and Recreation. Earlier this spring, we asked for permission to apply for this grant. We were awarded this grant. This is a mechanical means of keeping the unwanted algae growth in some of our smaller ponds. This is a grant to see if that will work for us. If you have more detailed questions about chronic platonic algae, John Boyd is here and can answer those detailed questions for you. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Detailed questions, Commissioners?
I do.
Yes, Commissioner Cook.
John, over at Lake Shawnee, several years ago, we put in a number of modules to try and combat the algae at Lake Shawnee. What has been our return? Have we seen that help? And is this something that we would look at putting in at Central Park? I mean, this comes up just about every year this time with the green algae at Central Park.
Lake Shawnee has numerous sources of where stormwater and water runoff is filling the lake. That's where we put the little sediment ponds that have the different measures that help keep that down. It slows down, catches the non-point source pollution in those things is what it's designed for. These smaller ponds like this are really made for having a mechanical means to take care of them. But yeah, we continue to work with other agencies around the Conservation District, all of those type of things to continue to improve the water quality at Lake Shawnee and other lakes and ponds as well too. You got a better answer than that? Okay.
I'd move for authorization and execution of the contract.
Second.
Motion made to approve the contract by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item F2, consider approval of an additional $250 in membership dues to the National Recreation and Park Association for a total annual fee of $1,500.
Commissioners, this was on our list of memberships that was approved earlier, but the price that they're charging in 2017 is more than the $15 increase. I will tell you that before, in the past, we've always had 3 members. NRPA has started a new thing at the bequest of numerous departments from around the country. This one will allow all Shawnee County Parks and Rec permanent employees to be part of the NRPA, and they can get onto different forums, get discounts off of training sessions, all of those type of things. So the benefits of going to this department-wide agency membership is going to be tremendous for staff. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Don't have any questions, I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller and seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item F3, consider authorization and execution of contract C-251-2017 with the Shawnee County Allied Tribes, Inc. for operation of the 2017 All Nations Intertribal Powwow event to be held September 1st to the 3rd, with expenses offset by a special event fee of $500 and a donation to the Parks and Recreation Foundation totaling $2,800.
Commissioners, this is a special use contract for the All Tribes, or Intertribal Powwow that's been held for many, many years out at Lake Shawnee. Sean Osborne has worked with this group, and if you have any questions for either him or me, we'd be happy to answer them.
Questions? This is always a great event, by the way.
Absolutely.
I've always enjoyed it. I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. And that motion carries 3-0. Thank you, John. Next item.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Item G, County Councilor number 1, presentation regarding Thomas McGee, LC, Shawnee County's third-party administrator for the Workers' Compensation Program.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Crow, Shawnee County Councilor. I have a brief presentation this morning, and I promised Jane that I would be brief, given the size of the agenda. Let me see if I can. All right. What am I looking for here? There it is. There we go. As we've been discussing over the last couple of months, I want to do a better job of providing information to the Board of County Commissioners on our workers' compensation program. As part of that, I want to give you a little bit of background about the contract we have with Thomas McGee, both what they do and the history of our contracts with Thomas McGee, and then give you a brief outline of a stewardship report that I get. It goes over basic information. Ed Reesner with Thomas McGee is here. He created the report for us. As we go through it, you can see the outline of the information that we're provided, and we can get much more detailed than what's in this report. So I'll work with you going forward as to the type of information you'd like to see. Thomas McGee is our third-party administrator for our workers' compensation program. What that means is when a Shawnee County employee is injured, we receive a report of that injury incident, and we send all sorts of information that's required to be reported by the state of Kansas to Thomas McGee. They then report that information on the required forms to the state of Kansas, and then direct whatever care may be needed following that for the employee. That's part of the administration. If that becomes a claim that becomes litigated, they may also hire outside counsel on the more complicated claims or claims where there are issues with whether it should be covered by work comp or not, or whether there is an issue or dispute over the nature and extent of the injury. They assist us with state reporting and with our self-insurance application requirements and permit requirements, and then they provide us detailed claims data and consultation and assistance with developing policies for dealing with issues that we find from time to time with claims, how to address them, how to identify areas of increased costs and try to work on bringing those down. Just a little history on the contract. Prior to 2006, we had an interlocal agreement with the city of Topeka, and actually the city of Topeka administered our workers' compensation claims, and we decided to go out to an RFP in 2006 and see if we could find a professional third-party administrator to work with us on those claims. That's the direction we chose to go. So our original contract with Thomas McGee was awarded to them and began in August of 2006. We had various contract extensions that were negotiated through 2014. We sent, as has been the practice with this commission, we did a new RFP for those services in 2015. We had 3 different companies respond to that RFP. Out of that process, we selected Thomas McGee as the best provider to continue providing those services for that. So really we are mid-contract in that 4-year contract term with them. The original contract was for a 2-year term, beginning in August 1st of 2015, ending July 31st, 2017, with 2 additional 1-year extensions, which is the item following this item today. This is just an executive summary by calendar year of the number of claims. It goes back over a 5-year period, back to 2012, which is actually a relevant period. The workers' compensation statute changed beginning in May of 2012. They changed the formula for determining what's going to be covered by workers' compensation or not. It was a fairly significant change to Kansas law. Since that time, generally the number of claims that we have received have fallen, although 2015 was a bit of an outlier year, you can see through the data. In terms of claims presented and amounts associated with those claims. This is just another representation of the number of claims we've received per year since 2012. This shows the amount incurred cost-wise each year since 2012. You can see 2015. I asked for what happened in 2015. We had 2 fairly significant claims that are driving those numbers up in 2015. They can break down these claims by the type of injury so that we can look at what are causing our claims, and do we need to look at our policies in certain areas and look and see if there's something we can do with change in policy, change in training, to maybe address an area where we have a lot of claims. Again, same information with a dollar amount tied to it. Here are claims by department. Shouldn't be a huge surprise. It really goes by the number of employees per department. You'll see that solid waste and refuse has 2 different tabs. That had to do with the way that they were originally set up in Thomas McGee's system. And then the same information. The dollar amounts in the park department that jump out at you, really driven by 2 fairly significant claims that have ongoing medical treatment. Work comp claims provide work comp coverage under Kansas law provides medical treatment for life for an injury. So if there is a significant injury, which we had 2 fairly significant injuries in that department, that's what's driving the numbers that you see in that department. And that's everything I have. Do you have any questions about that information?
Questions at all?
No.
As I said, I'll be happy to work with you, go into detail on this report, see if you'd like any more specific information related to any of the categories, what we are working on training-wise, policy-wise, things like that.
Okay. Next item, please.
Item G2, consider authorization and execution of contract C252-2017 with Thomas McGee LC, amendment to contract C289-2015, extending their services from August 1, 2017 to July 31, 2018, and includes a 2% increase in the fees.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Jim Krause, Shawnee County Counselor. I am the contract administrator for this contract. As mentioned, we've completed the first 2 years of the contract following an RFP. This would be a request to authorize a 1-year extension as negotiated through that RFP process. It provides a 2% increase in fees. That term would begin on August 1st and end on July 31st with Thomas McGee. Again, I have Ed Reasoner here with Thomas McGee if you have any questions about that contract.
Yeah, that would be great if the representative could come up. I just think it would be good to get an overview of our experience in workers' comp, what you see as some opportunities we may take for better experience, and your view of what our experience is.
Thank you very much. My name is Ed Reesner. I'm the Director of the Risk Management Department at Thomas McGee. We've had the pleasure to work with the county for 11 years now. As Jim pointed out, there were significant legislative changes that took place in 2012, so we've seen overall costs come down. The county is not unlike many of employers that we see, and especially in the public sector. We may control the number of claims, but the unfortunate reality is the severity of some of the claims really come into play. With parks, we've seen it with public safety issues, first responders, things of that nature. So the catastrophe claims kind of spikes some of those numbers. From a safety aspect, we're very looking at, as the aging workforce comes into play, that we're hiring the right people that have the physical capacities to complete those jobs. So there's functional jobs analysis, things of that nature. There's a cost associated with that up front as you're selecting the individuals for replacement of the retiring workers, but the payback can be very beneficial. We're continuing working with Jim and his department of identifying what can be done. Obviously, the detention area is one where light-duty return to work that gets individuals back into the workforce is another big benefit. With the detention center, that's a little bit problematic. They need to be able to respond accordingly. So those are the kind of things that we're working with Jim towards. We've seen positive experience, but again, in 2015, we did see 2 individuals with pretty significant injuries.
Okay. Thank you. Questions at all?
No, I don't have any.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item H, Administrative Services, number 1, update on revenues and expenses.
Good morning, Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services, here with the financial overview for June 30th, 2017. I will start with the revenues. Our year-to-date revenue through June 30 totaled $88,993,302, compared to what was budgeted of $89,215,981. That is, we are actually under budget a little bit by $222,000, but I'll remind you that that is on a $103 million budget. And we'll go through the different categories and talk about those categories. But this is just kind of the graph that shows you the different areas and the different categories that we'll go through and gives you that kind of that big picture look. The first area is property tax revenue. We've received $77,820,624. This area is actually $454,000 under budget. We did make up a little bit in our June distribution. We were $74,000 over budget for the month of June. But what I'm seeing in this, and I believe what we need to look at on this is probably our delinquency rate on our property taxes. You know, we had a really high delinquency rate after the, 08, 09 time frame, and then they started going down significantly. Well, for the year of 2015, we had a 1.11% delinquency rate. 2016, we had a 1.18%. So I think what that tells us is they're probably just leveling off, those, and they're not going to continue to decrease like they had been trending. So, a little bit of an increase, but a minor increase there in the delinquency rate. So I think what we're doing is looking at that trend of decreasing delinquency rates is probably ending, and so we're probably plateauing off on that. So that's, pretty much accounts for this difference here. But there again, on a percentage-wise, this is a small percentage of our total budget. The next area is other tax revenue, and we've received $5,287,000 in this area, and that also is under budget by $219,000, and most of that is in the city and county highway tax. That tax was down $233,000 from what the state had estimated it to be. So that category is pretty much all made up of that one area. The next area is property-related fees. We've received $956,000, $286, and that area is actually $198,000 over budget. So we've had more mortgages filed than we had estimated. The next area is charges for services, and we've received $2,450,085 in that area. This also is under budget by $455,000, and that's Parks and Rec is about $314,000 under what we had estimated, and Department of Corrections is $125,000. Now, the Department of Corrections, we have talked about how that their inmate counts are down, and that means also those inmates coming from that we hold for other jurisdictions that we receive fees for. And then the last area is other revenue, and we've received $2,482,000. That is over budget by $709,000, and that's made up of defeasance revenue that we received and our investment income being up. Any questions on the revenue numbers here? Okay, we'll go on to the expenditure side. Oh, one more thing on the revenue. This just shows as a pie chart that shows 87% of the revenue that we've received has come from property taxes. And that stays pretty consistent. It will probably go down slightly throughout the rest of the year because we've received the majority of the property taxes now for the year. In June, we received the distribution for the property taxes that were paid in May. Okay, we'll go to the expenditure side, and on the expenses, one thing I want to start out by telling about our payroll. We pay our payroll every 2 weeks, and because of that, that means we have 26 pay periods. That means there's 2 months that have 3 pay periods instead, and all the rest have 2. So sometimes we have, so in 2017, June had 2 payrolls, or 3 payrolls, I'm sorry, had 3 payrolls. In 2016, July had 3. So we have a timing difference in here on the budgeting, because the budget is predicted based on the prior year's expenditures throughout the year. So you're going to see that we're a little over budget in our expenditures, but it's pretty much all attributable to that extra pay period and when it fell this year compared to next year. Now, when we get to the July and look at our July numbers, then that will take care of that timing difference. So we'll start out here. We had as of June 30th, we had year-to-date expenditures of $47,361,227, and this chart just shows the different categories and the makeup of those categories. The first category, then, is the public safety expenditures, and we've had expenditures of $21,472,000. That is $278,000 over budget, but with the large payrolls in the departments within that, with the DOC and the sheriff's departments, that makes up that difference. The next category is public health. We have spent $6,029,000 in this area, and that, of course, is right on budget because those are allocations that we make each time. Okay, the next one is administrative services. We have spent $6,603,000. That is actually $308,000 under budget. There again, because, same as last month, because of our contingency that we had allocated for the year, we have not had to use that very much this year. So that makes up that $308,000. Public Works is the next category. We spent $4,172,000. That is $55,000 under budget, and most of that variance is in the planning department. They are under their budget so far this year. And as I many times do, I'll just mention that this is what is spent out of the general fund. This does not include those dollars that are spent from the sales tax or from federal funds that come in also. Next is Parks, Recreation, and Expo Center. We've spent $7,858,000. That is $125,000 over budget, and most of that is Parks and Rec, but there again, they have a large payroll, so that accounts for that difference. And then our last one is debt service, and this did not change from last month because we did not have any debt service payments, but we have spent $1,223,000 in that, and of course that's right on budget. This is just a chart that shows the different expenditures by the different categories, so you can kind of compare them and really see the difference in public safety, which is obviously the largest, and then followed by Parks and Rec, and debt service is the smallest. And then this is a pie chart showing the same thing, but it shows that 45% of our expenditures were spent on public safety, 13% on public health, administrative services is 14%, public works at 9%, Parks and Recreation and Expo at 17%, and then debt service at 2%, because all we've spent so far on debt service is just the first half interest. So, are there any questions?
Commissioner?
I do not have any questions, no. Thank you, Betty.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
No, thank you. Next item, please.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Gregory, Kansas Expo Center. Last weekend, we hosted a brand-new event at the Kansas Expo Center Hall and Exhibition Hall, the Capital Journal Bridal Fair. Very successful event and very well attended. I believe all the bridezillas and the momsters were very happy with the event and the turnout. This weekend, we are hosting the 4-H Horse Show at the Dome Arena at the Kansas Expo Center, followed by the Kansas Mounted Shooting Championship and Regional Championship the following weekend, which is a brand new event to the Kansas Expo Center and Dome Arena also. And also would like to mention that we are hosting the primary elections tomorrow at Heritage Hall. So, any other
Good.
questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Anyone else for administrative communications this morning? All right, Commissioner Bueller?
I believe we have, Thursday is when the deadline is for anyone to submit their interest in the Silver Lake Township position. Is that correct, Jane? Okay. So-
Good.
And then that will be on an agenda
Okay,
soon.
thank you. And I think we've seen some interest already,
We've released,
which I'm
received
encouraged.
2.
Yeah, I'm encouraged about that.
Yeah.
Commissioner Cook?
And the Thursday is also the hearing. I believe that we have an event that
Public
evening.
hearing.
So, that's all.
Good. Yeah, I wanted to mention the public hearing, Thursday, 5:30 here. It's important. I hope we have a good turnout and a lot of good discussion about the future of Shawnee County in 2018 and beyond. And again, the primary for mayoral race is tomorrow, and I hope we have good turnout. Some of the turnout we have for elections just I won't say it sickens me, but it doesn't make me happy, that's for darn sure. So please vote. Please vote. That's all I had. Next item, please.
Item 6, executive session.
There's not a need, so we're officially adjourned. Thank you for coming.